couple of yoga blocks we'll use today, wall, and a blanket or towel. This works also as a towel. So what we're gonna start with is child's pose. And the way we're gonna start with child's pose is your blanket and or your towel. You're gonna fold it so you've got this longish 6-inch wide strip, and then it's coming along your back, static, like so. If it's long enough, I might unfold mine one more here. I'm going to go really long because I can. If it is not long enough to tuck like underneath your bum, that's fine. You can just have the tail hanging. That's when I was on the road last week. That's the way I did it with the hotel towel. But then when I got home, I tried it this way. So if you've got a long enough blanket, tuck it between your heels and bum. And then we're going to bring the forearms onto the floor. And the towel's just kind of along our back from our butthole all the way to the crown of the head. So I'm holding on to the tail end with my fingertips. Elbows are on the floor, forearms are on the floor. I'm just getting some feedback along my back body and the midline. And I don't have my knees wide. I've got them closer together so that my belly is on my thighs rather than keeping my big toes together and getting wide with the thighs and laying my torso between the legs. The reason I'm opting to keep my knees closer together is so that I get that feedback from the blanket and or towel that is along my back body, butthole to crown of head. And we're just going to breathe here. We don't need to make the breath any deeper. And by way of where we have this prop, we're probably going to notice a little bit more back body expansion, specifically along that midline. So just 3-4 more nice soft inhales and exhales. You might notice the C shape that you make, butthole to crown of the head. And then with your next exhale, you're going to leave the blanket there, but we're going to walk the hands out long. So palms are on the floor, reaching the arms out long, pressing down into the floor with the pads of the fingers, the base of the fingers, the heel of the hand. Again, just soft, slow breaths. If you want, we can take those blocks, put them under the hands, stretch them out. Maybe take the hands a little wider and really press into the blocks. Tidying up some of the around the armpit stuff. Two more breaths here. Okay, we're gonna walk the hands back. Take the blanket off of the back body. Just fold it up. We're gonna come onto our hands and knees with the blanket underneath one of our hands. Okay, that hand where the blanket is, we're just going to make some circles with it, and then we're going to start to reach it under the other hand and back. And almost as if we were in the center of a clock, and we're just going to explore kind of where on that clock face I take that blanket in my hand. See if you can kind of get to as many numbers and places on that imaginary clock face on the floor with your blanket. Okay, and then you're going to just bring both hands to the floor, then hands and knees. Just take a second, notice what you notice in terms of where your weight is, how things are feeling. Before we go to the other side, we're going to take that blanket, fold it up. You might want it a little bigger than what was underneath your hand a minute ago so that it drapes a little bit. And we're going to place it just on the tops of the shoulders and the back of the head and come back into hands and knees before we do the other side. So the blanket on the back of the head just, again, gives us a little bit of feedback and play. It might need to be top of the shoulders, back of the head. You might need to just drape it on the head and not have it be on the shoulders at all. So play and find the spot where it gives you a bit of a cue to have the head be a continuation of the spine of the torso. And there might be a little bit of work there. From there, we're going to step one leg and then the other back, bring ourselves into a plank, and then lower one knee and then the other. And we're just going to do that a couple of times. So come into a plank for a breath or two, come back to hands and knees for a couple of 3 breaths. And then one more time, out into plank, back, hands and knees. Okay, we're going to take the blanket off. This time it's coming underneath our other hand. Again, imagining that you're kneeling in the center of a big clock face. And we're just going to work with reaching that blanket in hand underneath the other arm and around. Seeing if we can kind of reach all the different numbers on that clock face. Okay, just another moment to explore reaching under that other arm, reaching the numbers on that imaginary clock, and then we'll let that go. One more time, we're going to place the blanket on the back of the head or the tops of the shoulders in the back of the head. Come to hands and knees. Okay, when you're ready, you'll step one leg and then the other out into plank. Let the blanket and the weight of it inform what you do with the head. Let it inform the reach of the hands into the floor. And you'll just alternate between hands and knees and plank, kind of staying in each one for a couple of breaths. Okay, and then let's leave the blanket on the head, and we're going to sit those hips back. Blanket might fall off. Maybe that comes to the floor, and we just place the forehead on it as we extend the arms out or keep the forearms on the floor, coming back into child's pose for a couple of breaths. And then walk the hands back. We're sitting on your heels. You're going to roll yourself up. Okay, so we're going to use our blanket. I did this with a chair the other day, and I liked the feedback of how stiff the chair was, but we're not going to use a chair today in class, a folding chair. So we're going to do it with a blanket. And you're going to be able to kind of change the length of the blanket to get what you need to create the reach with the arms and the push with the legs. So I'm intentionally not on a yoga mat so that I can slide a little bit, okay? So I'm just going to roll the blanket up. So I've got a big roll, and option one is simply that I'm going to roll this rolled blanket towards my feet and back up. So I'm just rolling. If I had a physio ball or if I had a little, like a smaller Pilates ball, that could work too, but we're just going to stick with the props that we're sticking with today, which is a blanket and blocks. Okay, so the next time the blanket comes up, you're gonna slide the feet up as well. So we kind of tuck into being a bit of a seed here. Now, as I reach the legs, I'm also gonna reach the arms and roll the blanket. So it becomes I tuck up, I press out. Okay, so just getting some movement through the spine, some length from pelvis up to the crown of the head, some length from the underside of the toes, the plantar fascia where it starts, all the way again up to the pelvis. Okay, the next time you go along here, so you can stay with what we were just doing, or you can opt to take the blanket now. We're going to fold up, and it's going to come underneath the balls of the feet here. So now I've got a way to kind of pull with the arms and reach with the legs, and I'm going to fold and unfold to the degree that it feels good for me, that I feel my joints, surfaces, rotating around one another so that it doesn't just feel like I'm pulling my hamstrings or I'm pulling my low back, but I can feel my hips, my knees rotating. Good, okay. So now we're gonna get a little crazy with it. So we're going to come down onto your side. So we're still tucked in. We're holding that blanket. Okay. And we're going to do the same action, but now we're on our side. So we fold up, and then we unfold into that forward fold. But this time the relationship to gravity is different. And then I might come one through the center, and again, I fold and unfold, and then I come onto my other side, fold and unfold. So this is we're having a slippery floor surface. And I can play with the hand position or my grip on the blanket. I can play with how I press through the legs, reach and pull with the arms. Okay, and then come up through center one more time, and that's seated forward fold. Good. Okay, let that go. Let's just come onto our back for a second. Those of you that